So, first of all, thank you very much for coming. Great event, actually, because these guys have flown all the way over to Austria to explain to us exactly the benefits of using the AVILOO tool. So mainly today, we're going to be focusing on the flash test. We're also going to talk about the premium test a little bit. But mainly, thank you very much to Matt. So I'm just going to let Matt do a 30-second introduction, and he will go through more about this business later on at the end of this, and also give you a bit of a tour around, showing you the facilities. And if you've not seen an EV in bits, there's plenty over there at the back to look at. So.
Yeah, for those that don't know me, my name is Matt Cleevely. This is my business. Oh, okay, microphone. Got it? Yeah. So yes, this is my business, and I am spent 25 years now in the automotive industry, always in the independent aftermarket, and have a passion for it. So anything I can do to improve the aftermarket against the manufacturers and the franchises, then I will, which is hence working on this with these guys and using this tool, which is a fantastic tool for independent garages to be able to give the information out to their customers. Is what EV owners worry about the most, and that's key for out of all of this. In the last 6 years that I've been dealing with EV, state of health is one of the most fundamental things that customers panic about and worry about. So this tool overcomes that.
Okay, so
housekeeping.
Yeah, housekeeping. Sorry, yes.
If nobody hasn't been, so the toilets are in the next building. So just head into reception underneath the green sign, and the toilets are signposted from there.
On the big hole, there's a fire exit.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to introduce, obviously, to Marcus and Nico here, who are going to take you through the tool. They want lots of questions at the end, if you don't mind. This will be fairly technical, I'm sure, and if you want any further technical questions, you can go really into depth with it, because I know a few of you want to. I'm just going to hand that over to you, Nico. And you've got yours on.
Okay.
It's still flashing green? Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Andy, and thanks a lot, Matt. Thanks a lot for the invitation, and thanks a lot for you to join and show your interest in the technology that we would very much like to introduce to you today. At the very beginning, let me apologize for not being a native English-speaking person. From time to time, I might say something which sounds weird to you. I hope you apologize. I will do my very best. I'm Markus Berger. I'm the CEO of AVILOO. AVILOO is the company that developed over the last 5 years very sophisticated battery diagnostics technology, which we are going to talk about to you. And my colleague Nico will introduce himself as well, I think.
Yeah, I'm one of the founders of the company. Electronic guy, electrician, developing software hardware since I was 15 years old or so. I was working as a self-employed since I was 18 years old or so, make a study in Vienna and Valencia in Spain, and was working for General Motors 10 years. I launched the Ampera with the range extender. I was also involved in the group of programming the battery management system, and as a self-employer, I developed a huge amount of battery management systems, and also got the lithium iron phosphate battery certified to be part of a drone, of an autonomous aerial vehicle.
Yeah. So we believe we know what we're doing, just talking a little bit about AVILOO. We are a company based in Austria. The company has been founded by my brother and Nico 5 years ago, exactly with the aim to deliver an independent and objective battery testing technology to the after-sales market, to consumers, but also to garages, workshops, car dealers. That was kind of the origination of the company. They actually really started in the garage of my parents' house on the weekends, in the afternoons, and then slowly but surely got more into the development and could give up their bread and butter jobs, formed the company, and we are meanwhile 30 employees. We consider ourselves as being the true global market leaders in the area of battery analytics, with a strong focus on EVs, although we are not exclusively dealing with EVs. But I think for today, that's what we're going to talk about. think I mentioned that already. We are, as we cannot invite all of you to our offices in Austria, we thought we might bring our office to you, in order to give you some impression. And if technology works, we just make a live show. This is our offices as it is now. It's a little bit similar to that location. It's a showroom, a Kia showroom actually, that we rented out. So you can see we can drive in with cars here, and we can work on the cars, connect ourselves with computers, doing reverse engineering, checking our communication with the cars. We have this typical startup flair, I would say. Okay, so
thank you, Radinka.
Thanks a lot. So you got probably some impression about who we are and what we're doing. I know today's presentation will be about the flash test, the AVILOO flash test, which is one of the testing products that we developed, which is a kind of, as the name tells you, a quick test. So within 3 minutes, you get a battery assessment. But in order for us to be able to develop this flash test and deliver it to you as a ready product, I have to talk a little bit about the AVILOO Premium test, because the AVILOO Premium test actually is the basis for the flash test. This is the sophisticated state of health test, and this is the test that generates all the data that we need to analyze and create the flash test as a kind of a big data application. So the flash test is on its own is a product that relies also on the premium test and on the data that we collect through the premium test. That's why I need to talk about a little bit about that as well, so that you understand the full picture of the technology that we provide. I'm sure you understand the key problem. Batteries degrade over time. You know that from your mobiles, from your notebooks. There is currently no neutral test available except for AVILOO. You also know that the value of a used EV is practically stored in its battery. And the technology that we developed consists of two main parts. The first one is the AVILOO box, which is a piece of hardware. Eventually we have some.
Yeah, here it is prepared.
We have one. Yeah, it looks like this. It's an OBD hardware that we developed completely on our own. So hardware, firmware, it's all ours. You connect this to the OBD interface of the car. This is actually a data logger. It collects all the data that we require. It transmits it live to the AVILOO battery data platform, which we will show you afterwards in more detail, which is a mighty piece of software, also written entirely by our own software programmers, where all the algorithms, the mathematical models are stored, and where we provide the analysis then for whatever it is. If it's an AVILOO Premium test, then we call the product the AVILOO Battery Certificate, which is a real state of health test. So it delivers the remaining battery capacity compared to the original value. So if you have 100 kilowatt hour battery and we calculate there's still 80 kilowatt hours left, the state of health will obviously be 80%. And the AVILOO Flash Test, which is the product that we will spend most of our time today, is a quick test which delivers the AVILOO score as a result, which is a score that we developed on our own, which assesses the battery on the basis of data that's been collected within 3 minutes, so a very short period of time, calculates it's not a state of health test, so the result is not a state of health. It's a score which will be closer and closer to the actual state of health the more, let's say, data we collect. I already talked about the AVILOO box. I already talked about the AVILOO battery data cloud. What we also offer is the AVILOO app. So this is specifically also for the premium test, an app that guides the user through the test procedure. It's also available for the flash test, but typically you don't really need the app in order to perform the flash test, but you need the app to perform the premium test. So that's the key components. A few words on our market traction. We started with our go-to-market activities in late 2021, obviously in Austria and in Germany. Last year we built strong client relations also in Scandinavia in the Benelux states, and thanks God, also in the UK, with Andy and the Maverick Group, who acts in the UK as our, I would say, representative, or as our sales partner, sales agent, however you want to call it. All our activities are being managed by Maverick. We don't have a local office or local presence here. We've been discussing for a couple of months last year, and we found out that there's a very good fit. We liked each other a lot, and so we came to the conclusion that it will make sense to work together, and we are actually very happy and very proud to have Maverick as our partner, and being able to just enter the UK market together with Maverick, and hopefully be very successful. So we will. I guess we will. Yeah, future will prove. Okay, so having said that, let me spend a few words on the AVILOO Premium test. The AVILOO Premium test is actually the origination of our company. It was that product that we wanted to deliver, the initial idea by 4 or 5 years ago, when we said, if you buy a used EV, you need to know the state of health of the battery. Otherwise, every purchase is to some extent a financial risk. Yeah, because if you buy a car with either battery defects or a highly degraded battery, you don't get the range that you expected, you can probably, in worst case, you cannot even use the car properly. And in order to exchange a battery, you have to spend 10,000–15,000 euros, which is actually a real financial total damage. And some of you might have bought a mobile already, a used one, and then being disappointed because the battery is actually crap. And that was kind of the initial idea. And then we developed, it took 3 to 4 years because it's very, very complex. And then we developed this premium test. How does it work? The customer drives his normal, so he again plugs in the AVILOO box, needs to charge the car up to 100% state of charge, and just then drive the car his normal ways down to a state of charge of 10% or lower. We require this huge amount of data set because calculating the state of health is technically complex. But as a result, you then will receive this battery certificate, which is also TÜV certified, by the way, which is a real exact assessment of the state of health. And with this product, we went on the market. And we quickly found out, talking to a lot of car dealers and also leasing companies and technical inspection companies, that they said, well, we like the product a lot and it's technically extremely sophisticated, but we actually cannot fit in that into our processes. We cannot drive the car from 100% down to 10%. It's just not possible. And we understood that. And then we said, well, we need to deliver something which is suitable for your clients or for your companies that you represent. And so we developed the AVILOO Flash Test, which is a quick test. Yeah? You don't have to move the car anymore. You just plug in the AVILOO box for 3 minutes, which is obviously much shorter than driving it from 100% down to 10%. So far less data is being collected, which is obvious. And this is also why we cannot make a state of health calculation. Nobody can with the data collected within 3 minutes. But that's why we developed the AVILOO score, which is the result of 5 categories that we investigate. And out of these 5 categories, we calculate this AVILOO score, which gives you a decent assessment of your battery within, can say, data that is being collected in 3 minutes. This is the compromise always between accuracy and time or amount of data that you can collect. And why are we able to deliver the flash test and others are not? Because we have all this huge data from the premium test. Yeah, we have, let's take for Model 3, hundreds and hundreds of different Model 3s where we have almost a full discharging cycle and also charging cycles, by the way. And we can take this data and through big data applications, use that data in order to provide the AVILOO score for a Model 3, for example, out of data that we collect within 3 minutes. So that's why there is an interlink between flash test and premium test. And that's why it's so difficult for competition to deliver that product because they don't have the data. And without the data that we collect here, the calculation of the score or the battery assessment is almost impossible. Okay. As I said, kannst du noch einmal drücken, dann kommt noch was. As I said, we collected data, or we performed premium tests for thousands and thousands of different cars. Meanwhile, we have a very, very unique set of data already. Every dot represents a state of health of a specific car. And you can see here on this axis the mileage in kilometers. I apologize. So this is 100,000 kilometers, which probably would be 60,000 miles, I would say. And here you can see the state of health. And again, please apologize for the quality of this. It was an emergency.
Don't touch it too much.
Yeah.
We don't want to have an accident.
Yeah, you're right. You can see the state of health here. So, and obviously, as you would expect, the older the car, the lower the state of health. That's probably to be expected. But what is also very interesting is the range of state of health that you can have. Yeah? So it can be from, let's say, almost 100% down to something like 70%. And here we already exclude the really bad cars. Yeah? But even in a standard deviation could be almost 30% at a car with 60,000 miles range. So if you buy a used EV, you want to make sure you're buying a car which is here and not here. And you don't want to rely on luck if you do that, because it's a huge difference. So this is why we believe there is a huge requirement or a need in order to perform a battery test. And many people just don't understand that yet. Yeah? They believe, like with combustion engines, age and mileage gives you the value, which is just not true for battery vehicles anymore, because it depends on different things. How much fast charging did you do? How did you store the car? Do you always store it with 80, 90, 100% state of charge? Or do you, when I say store, I mean park. Yeah? Or do you park it with 40, 50, 60% state of charge in general, which makes a huge difference to battery health. Yeah, can you just move on, Nico? So also to explain you briefly how the premium test works, again, you connect or you buy the premium test, first of all, online via Maverick. There is an online web shop that Maverick provides. You receive the box by post, you connect it, you charge your car, you fully charge your car, you drive it down to 10%. You have 7 days time. You can easily do that by just going your normal driving ways. And once you receive the 10%, the test is finished, you get the battery certificate via email and you send back the AVILOO box to Maverick. That's it. Next one. Okay, that's what I already described to you. Pricing will be €99. And the AVILOO Premium test is very much a consumer product. We also make that experience. Although we are offering the premium test to car dealers and leasing companies and workshops, we made the experience that typically it's consumers that are buying that product. Car dealers do it if they find out that flash test something is wrong with the car. Then, in addition, they perform the premium test to really understand what the problem is. But typically, the premium test is a consumer product. Yeah. Okay, next one. So I think that's all what I wanted to talk about the premium test to you. Nico I will just now hand over to Nico, and he will show you a little bit about our battery data platform and the software that we built, so that you can better understand when I talk about data, what that means, and how our technology works in the background. And then he will also explain you how the flash test works. Okay, so thanks a lot for your attention, and I'll just hand over to you, Nico, and he will continue.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and for coming so many people. That's really nice. This is our famous cloud platform. We can offer this as well to the business customers, to garages. Why could we do that? To give them, let's say, a special tool to try to find out the failures and finding the root cause for a problem in the car within the battery compartment. And we proved that with many examples with many customers already. garages, customers. So how does it work? This is, let's say, our working platform. On the left side, you can see a lot of cars. I selected here a VIN identification number. It's our Model S in Austria, which is actually driving. I asked a guy of my company to drive the car that you can see something live going on there. And what you see, he's driving here. You have a map. No, here you have all the sessions. We call it sessions. So from connecting the AVILOO box, there is initiated a session, so a line there with a starting point, with a timestamp, and when it's disconnected, an end point. And then you can select all the sessions. Maybe it's also possible that one session is a charging cycle, for example, if you want to record this in the garage or an end customer. On the left top bottom, you can see the GPS trace. That's very interesting if you want to prove the OEM that the car was moving, that the car was in that area. Also, we also grab the altitude of the car, which is in Austria quite interesting because of the mountains, because we have sometimes problems when the car is descending a lot and recuperation is for 20 minutes just recuperating. Yeah, there are different things. Then we have a calculation window, which is quite nice. You get, for example, the drawn kilowatt hours, the recuperated kilowatt hours, amp hours as well. And here in the bottom, many data like current, cell voltages and stuff like that. You can also select to all the signals available. I'm making here a big window. This is for a Model S Tesla, so you have a huge amount of data which we collect with sometimes with 100 samples per second. So which is everything stored in the data cloud. So you can, if you're interested, you can, for example, click on temperature module 22 and select a cell voltage, whatever you want, add it to the graph, then close it, and then I've plotted here. I make it a big window. Yeah, on the right side, there's the graph where you can see all the signals you selected. And here on the bottom side, right, you can see all the signals coming in lifetime. So every 2 seconds, that screen is updated. I'm now trying to select the screen and make it bigger. Yeah, as you can see, red is the current, negative, this is the zero line, so zero amps. Negative current is a current draw out of the battery, so a consumption of the car. And a positive current is a recuperation or braking or charging, of course. Yeah? Blue, dark blue is the voltage of the pack, and light blue is the cell voltage. You can even show in the graph all the 96 cell voltages, or in the Taycan Porsche, you can show 180 cell voltages in the graph if you want. And then you can now ask yourself, what's that? That's not a good quality there. Yeah, that makes sense, because you could imagine that within 1 hour at Tesla, we grab about 10 million data points. And if we would transfer all the data points in a graph to your screen, that would last a lot of time. So that shows you, well, there's something hidden there. There's something going like this to 700 amps down. So that's like a peak, like a hard acceleration. I told him to drive like crazy, and I will pay the fees. Yeah, and then I can zoom in with the wheel, and then that's it. If the shade disappears, then I can see everything is there, every data, and here you have the seconds, so it's second 10, second 15 seconds. Small dots will show the individual points, but with that screen it's a little bit hard. Yeah, but I can zoom as I want into. So I have one other live demo for you. This is the car outside charging. It's the car of Andy. And now we are getting the data in. Yeah, by the way, the robot means that it's an automatic session. That means when you connected the AVILOO box, it's initiating a session, a timestamp, and that's it, and stopping with the timesheet. But you can individually set the starting point and the end point like you want in seconds. And I did it before. I add that session and said, please, the reason is I don't want to have here 1 hour or something collected. I just wanted to have the last minutes. Now you can see here the current, and now please stop charging.
Machst du's größer?
Ah, yeah, sorry, yeah. I add the cell voltage because that's quite nice. You can put into there, for example, name, that you find it much quicker. Then I added the cell voltage here immediately, or the portal is adding the cell voltage immediately. Sorry, that's the number of cell voltage. That's the number of cells. They're wrong. I have to add the voltage cell. Now we are too late. Now you can see that it's live. Yeah, you can see the current drops from 28 amps down to 0, or a little bit of minus amps, because now the car is drawing a little bit of power because of the 12-volt system, and perhaps the heating was turned on for a short period. Yeah, and what you see here is it's the current out or in the battery compartment. So the nice thing is, with that tool, you can also prove how much power is the heating consuming, how much power is the air condition consuming. You can check everything you want there. Even you can calculate the efficiency of the charger, because when you have an AC charger outside, you have maybe a display where you can see you're charging with 11 kilowatt like we do outside, and the power going into the car, into the battery, is only 8.5 kilowatt. Then you can easily calculate 8.5 divided by 11 kilowatt, and then you know the efficiency of the AC to DC charger. And that's also interesting. We made some experiments. We, for example, tried to measure what amount of energy is needed to heat up the cabin from 0 degrees up to 22 degrees. It was very interesting. With the Model S, glass roof, horrible. I think 3 kilowatt hours or so. So that's really hard. And that's also very interesting. And if a customer is coming and blaming, hey, the heating is not working anymore, or it's something wrong, you can easily connect our device. You can look into the graph. You have an approval. You can make a report out of that screens you can make some screenshots there. Yeah, can you turn on the charger again? Okay. He has not the mobile app installed like we have. Oh, it's this mobile. Okay, yeah. Great. Yeah, that's always the same problem. One mobile you need 3 mobiles. One for working, one for telephoning. Yeah. Okay, and if he's turning on the charging, you will see that the current is rising up quite slow normally, not to overload the grid, I assume, but everybody's working like this. Yeah. Okay. Wrong button.
So now, just to add something to that, what lass noch groß, oder?
Yeah, sorry.
Just to add, that's why I was talking about this premium test and also this monitoring of data up front, because we collect all that data, which is, I mean, there's billions and trillions of data points, and we're using those data for our flash test analysis. And that's why we thought it's probably good to show that to you, so that you understand on the basis of which sophisticated technology the flash test is actually being calculated. And it is not a simple thing, just plugging in some hardware and getting some data, and anybody can do that. So it's really high tech, what you see here. And I think there is nobody in Europe, at least from what I know, who can perform something even close to that.
Yeah, there's also a nice feature. If you want other signals, you just put the name into, and then it's suggesting all the signals similar to the name. And this is also a nice signal. It's the voltage cell spread, let's say it in that way, that gives you the information from the highest to the lowest cell voltage. And you know then, in between these limits, all the other cells are inside. And that's very nice. So in that case, for example, we can see that we started at 4.172 volts, and with the highest cell voltage, and the lowest is 4.164. So the spread is only 8 millivolt. So that means it's nearly nothing. The battery pack is perfect. And I'm telling you that, please learn it by heart, because later on I will refer to that, what we discovered for a customer that was blaming or talking about a problem, and we could help him. Yeah? And now you can see when the charger is stopping, of course, the cell voltage as well as the pack voltage is dropping down immediately. And then you have the classical relaxation. It's called relaxation, that the battery is changing, or the cell voltage is changing, although there's no current drawn or charged. Yeah? Okay, now I'm trying to find my mouse. Here it is. Yeah, so what did I say before? Cell voltages. I'm now referring because this was one customer. A short story. The customer came to us and said, I was at 2 dealers and they couldn't help me. They told me, it's a Nissan Leaf, by the way, or it was a Nissan Leaf. They couldn't help me, or they won't help me, because they said, yeah, he blamed that he has the half of the range, of the usual range, of the new range. And they told him, well, 11 from 12 bars, everything is fine. Everything is perfect. And he said, pardon me?
I don't want to meet you up, but
That's
not
good.
everyone will know that the Nissan Leaf has 12 battery state of health bars indicated on the display, so the customer can see it at all times. So there are 12 bars there, and when, as the battery degrades and the state of health drops, those bars drop off slowly over time. So the customer's got a visual indication of the state of health of the battery at all times, and it's only Nissan Leaf that does that.
Thank you very much, Matt. That's the point, yeah. So that means the OEM offers the customer a transparent state of health. But it's not objective. We proved that, and it's not the truth. These are two big problems. And well, and he came to us and said, oh, I bought the Nissan Leaf 4 years ago with all extras for 50,000 euros, everything inside, everything. And now I don't have any range anymore. Then we said, well, take the premium test. He did the premium test, and the result was horrible, 42%. That's really horrible. So we proved in that case that the OEM, so the Nissan, was completely off with the self-estimated state of health. We went to the dealer again and said, well, here it is. And the dealer said, well, that is not valid here. In Austria, everybody knows AVILOO, of course, already. And we informed the customer before and what he should say, you know. And then he came back and he remembered that there's another problem, that sometimes, or only one time a year, when he's accelerating without eco mode, there's an eco mode where it reduces power. So if you switch that off, so if you have full power, full throttle, and you accelerate for more than 20, 30 seconds, then the car stops suddenly without any pre-warning. And I said, that's interesting, because that's really a bad thing, and the dealer or the Nissan cannot say it's within the guarantee. And then we said, okay, we have to prove this. And like you know that from garages, to prove a problem that only occurs occasionally or very seldom is super complicated, super expensive, because it costs tons of hours of days. And in that case, it's quite easy. You put the box inside the customer's car, say, please perform the test so that you accelerate the problem or that you provoke the problem or the failure. And he did that, but he couldn't provoke it. And then I said, well, it was Christmas and it was cold and I'm living outside of Vienna in the mountains or in the hills. And I said, well, let's change the car. He got the old Model S from us and we got the worst Leaf. And I tried to provoke it and I called him and said, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. How did you do that? Well, and then I climbed up a hill, and after 20 seconds, I had everything on video and in the portal. And that is the result. I hope you can see it on the screen. Was heißt verwirren? Sorry.
Confused.
To confuse everybody, we changed the colors of the current and of the voltage, because this was the old color. So now yellow is the red one, so it's the current. But what you can see here is the yellow current is very low for a long time, and that means it's 400 amps, so it's full throttle for 20 seconds or so. And that's what I did, climbing up the hill without eco mode. And what happens there? In the same time, I plotted here the cell voltage spread And what you can see here, the spread goes like crazy. It goes higher and higher till the voltage of the car reaches, I think, sorry, exploded there, till the minimum cell voltage reached 1.4 volts. And that's, let's say that's a risk of fire. That's out of specification of every battery cell manufacturer. So, and that has to be in focus in your mind, in everybody's mind. And I don't know if every garagist know that, because that's very interesting, very important thing. So that means we proved that there is a big problem, that the car stops immediately, suddenly. So we had it also on video. And the next thing is that we proved that there's a big damage in the battery. And the next thing is you can reproduce that failure as often as you want. And the next thing is there was no error code. Never. So that was also a very nice thing. Yeah, I wrote it here, safety risk, of course, because the car suddenly stops, and of course risk of fire. The customer got immediately a call from us, and we said to him, please don't park the car in the garage anymore, any longer, always outside. And we sent to the dealer all the information for the car. And then after 6 months of discussions internally from Nissan, he got a battery exchanged, not a new one, but a second use, and now he's 78% of state of health, and this failure is no longer present. Okay, so that's really cool. Yeah, this can also only be done with the data cloud platform. With a garage tester, you cannot do that. You know that, hopefully. So if you connect it, you cannot give it to the end customer and say, provoke the failure and try to stop the car. So what else could be turned out of the data platform? So you can ask yourself, well, the Tesla would be super in state of health and in aging, and you could also think a Nissan Leaf must be worse. Well, that's interesting. I plotted as before the range, the mileage. It's 100,000 kilometers on the very right end, and a state of health from 70 to 100. And what you see is, well, there's a tendency going down here as well. But what you can recognize easily is the spread. So the spread of the Tesla Model S 85 is, in my opinion, also quite huge. So it's 15% or so, 15% points. And for the Nissan, it's worse. It's 25% or so. So, but that's also what we are able now to turn out of the database. And please keep in mind, our state of health is the truth. So when you would plot there the state of health of the OEM, if you would plot there the readout state of health, it's a spread like anywhere, or it's always on top because the battery is not aging, like the Nissan Leaf before. We had 11 from 12 bars, that means 92, 93% of state of health. So imagine the Nissan Leaf before, 40%. In reality, the OEM had said 93%. So keep that in mind, the arrow the OEM did. Yeah, now we are going to flash test. Why? Because all what we showed before is the base for the flash test. Without all the testing before, we couldn't do the flash test because we don't have the big data amount, we don't have the experience, we don't have the typical data. You have to understand whenever you test whenever you perform the flash test, that might be at state of charge from 90% or at 20%. But the cell voltage is totally different. Everything is different. And we have all the data because when a car is driving from 100 to 10%, we have all the data points and we have the statistics behind what happened after the 100th Nissan Leaf, for example, or 100th Model 3. And how it's also temperature dependent. That means also we have to take this into account. And this is only possible if we have that big amount of millions kilometers collected and thousands of battery premium tests. Yeah. Now we have also to go to explain you what are the borders or the limits of the test. The premium test is, let's say, it needs the most time, of course, or for the customer the most time, but the accuracy is the best, of course. The flash test is, let's say, it spares a lot of time, and it's exactly the product if you can't drive the car, if you can't move the car, if you can't charge the car. So it takes a very short time, but also the accuracy is not that high. Therefore, we don't say state of health to this. It's a score, and like Markus mentioned, it's a score. We try to be as near, as close as possible to the state of health. But like you can imagine that there's no dynamics on the battery for the test, during the test. So dynamically, we cannot evaluate the battery. That's impossible, of course, if the car stays still. Yeah? But you could imagine we will supply also here products for you. So for a short test drive or something like that, that will come. So our thinking is that for every situation, you should have the right product in your hand, in your toolbox, and take out the AVILOO box and make a short test without driving, with a short test drive, or with a long test drive, if there's a failure, if there's a problem, or if you want to know everything exactly. This is a real example. Yeah, we shaded out the vehicle identification number because it was an end customer. He performed the test, or we performed the flash test. And what you can see here is the AVILOO score is quite low. And here you can see what's the reasons for. We have 5 categories. We use to, out of those 5 categories, we derive the value of the score. So the most important category is the high voltage battery pack, the history and the usage. And the second one is, of course, the performance. So the cell voltage spread, the temperature spread, all of this. And the other categories are like 12-volt system, communication system, yeah, so roundabout. So this car was quite old, 120,000 kilometers on the mileage counter and 72 points. So I would say that's okay. We have a special thing programmed. If there's any abnormality, if there's something wrong with the battery, with the cell, or with the system, then we don't give points. We just say red, there's something wrong, and we give a hint what is wrong. For example, here it's given that the cell voltages are wrong, and on the back side you get the information what is wrong in detail. So there it says cell voltage spread, cell voltage deviation, bigger than, I don't know, 400 millivolts, for example. It's depending on temperature, state of charge, car type, battery type, and so on. But with that, with the right sample, for example, the dealer knows, oh, I have to look into the battery. I could perform a premium test, for example, or when it's come later on a short test drive test, or when he has the expert license with what I showed before with the portal, with the data access, he can show which battery cell is low, is it depending on the current. He can do experiments before he opens the battery, okay? And this is very, very important because, like I mentioned before, very often no failure code is there. Also this car, there was no failure code.
You mean no failure code?
Error code, error code, error code. What? Error code, yeah, error code, yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, error code, yeah. So, like I said before, we see us like a helping hand for the garagists because, yeah, they need a lot of help, and we think that's a quite common tool. How does it work? Yeah, before Markus showed 5 bars, now there are only 3 steps. It's more easier, of course. The business partner connects the box, waits 3 minutes, and the report is in the email. That's it. Simply said.
It's so easy that even myself, I managed to do several yesterday, and they are dotted around on the cars that are on sale here in the showroom. So
yeah.
Have a look at them, they're dotted around.
Yeah. Later we will demonstrate, and we go out. It's not raining, I think, now. So we go out and have a flash test.
So the whole technology is designed that it can be applied by practically everybody. So that was always the idea behind. You don't have to be a specialist. Each of us, even myself being a finance person, could apply it.
Yeah, that's the point. Okay, and like we said, for what customers it is for, it's of course for people or for customers, they don't have time, they can't move the car, they can't charge the car. And these are, for example, end of leasing inspection, where the cars are parked side by side. You can't, even if you would be allowed, you can't move the car. Huh? For this, for example, or trading used cars. For example, a customer is coming and saying, I want to sell the car. You don't have time to move the car, then plug the AVILOO box in and get a certificate. Yeah, the flash test is already available. Thanks, Maverick, as a big partner. And yeah, that's it. And now we are going out, and have the demonstration if you want. I invite you kindly.